the rarest family ride. You know it without them, trust me. And special thanks to this unbelievable cast. I mean, it's this is the show I've always wanted to direct, and you guys pulled it off. And they're just an amazing group of kids. Every one of them, I look them into the eyes, and I love every one of them. It's just, they're just special people to me. Forever, they will be eternally in my heart. As all the actors out there that have had, all part of a very, very special family which I will cherish forever. Thank you so much. Please. The last of our town, the Soft Club. I want to thank all of you for coming. Just a couple of reminders. The exits in case of an emergency are in the back. The last two in the back there, you see them exiting right here. There's one here, but it just goes to the courtyard. You're not going to be able to go out any place from there, so you have to do that quickly right through here. I ask you that you just turn off your cell phones, please. I know a few of them went off last night. So you can just put on vibrate or anything of that nature, that's fine. There is no smoking here, and nor outside. We're on a no smoking campus, so we would appreciate it if you did not smoke. That's about it. I just want you to enjoy the show. It's a wonderful performance. These kids work very, very, very hard on it. All right, so thank you very much, and I will turn it over to the stage director. Bye-bye.
The name of this play is Our Town, written by Thornton Wilder, produced and directed by Miss A, produced by Miss A and directed by Mr. B. And in it you'll see Miss C, Miss D, Miss E, Mr. F, Mr. G, Mr. H, and many others. The name of the town is Grover's Corners, New Hampshire, just over the Massachusetts line. Latitude 40 degrees, 42 minutes. Longitude 70 degrees, 37 minutes. First act shows a day in our town. The day is May 7th, 1901. The time, it's just before dawn. You see some streaks of light over in the east there by our mountain. You know, the morning star always shines wonderfully bright the minute before it has to go, doesn't it? I better show you how our town lies. Up here's Main Street. Way back there's the railway station. Tracks go that way. Polish towns beyond the tracks. And some Canuck. Over here we have the Congregational Church. Presbyterian farther over. Methodist and Unitarian farther over still. Baptist is down in the hollow by the river. Catholic Church is beyond the tracks. And over here we have the town hall and post office combined. Jails in the basement. You know, Brian once made a speech from these very steps right here. Along here is a row of stores. Horse posts, hitching blocks. You all remember. The first automobile's not coming around for another 5 years. It belongs to Banker Cartwright, our richest citizen. Lives on that big white house on the hill up there. Oh, here's the grocery store and Miss Morgan's drugstore. Yeah. Most everyone in town manages to look into those two stores at least once a day. Public school's over yonder. High school still farther over. 8:45 mornings, noon times, and 3 o'clock afternoons. Whole town can be heard with the yelling and screaming from those schoolyards. And over here's the big butternut tree. It's a nice town, you know what I mean? Nobody very remarkable ever come out of it as far as we know. Earliest dates on the tombstone up there read 1670, 1680. And there are Grovers and Cartwrights and Gibbses and Herseys. Same names as we have around here now. This is our doctor's house, Doc Gibbs. This is the back door. Here is some scenery for those of you who feel that we need scenery. This is Mrs. Gibbs's garden. Corn, peas, it's like beans, hollyhock, heliotrope, a lot of burdock. See, in those days, our newspaper come out twice a week. The Grover's Corner Sentinel. And this is Editor Webb's house. And this is Mrs. Webb's garden. It's just like Mrs. Gibbs's, except it has a lot more sunflowers. Oh. There's Doc Gibbs. He's coming down Main Street now. He's coming back from that baby case. And here's his wife, come downstairs to make breakfast. Doc Gibbs died in 1930. The new hospital's named after him. But Mrs. Gibbs died first. Long time ago, in fact. She was out visiting her daughter, Rebecca, who had married an insurance salesman in Canton, Ohio. And she died there from pneumonia. But her body was brought back here. She's up there with a whole mess of Gibbses and Herseys. She was Julia Hersey first, before she married Doc Gibbs in the Congregational Church over there. In our town, we like to know the facts about everybody. Oh, there's Mrs. Webb. Come downstairs to make breakfast as well. Oh, that's Doc Gibbs, right there. He got that call at 1:30 this morning. Oh, there's Joe Crowell Jr. delivering the morning paper.
Morning, Doc. Oh, morning, Joe.
Somebody can sit down.
No, just a pair of twins born over in Polish Town.
Do you want your paper now, Doc?
Yeah, sure, I'll take it. So, anything serious in the world going on since Wednesday?
Yes, sir. My school teacher, Miss Foster, is getting married to a fellow over in Concord.
I declare. How do you boys feel about that?
Well, of course it's none of my business, but I feel that if a person starts out to be a school teacher, she ought to stick with it.
Oh, how's your knee, Joe?
Fine, Doc. I never think about it at all. Only like you said, it always tells me when it's going to rain.
What's it telling you today? Going to rain?
No, sir.
You sure?
Yes, sir.
You never made any mistake?
No, sir.
Now, I want to tell you something about that boy, Joe Crowell, there. See, Joe was awful bright. Graduated high school, head of his class here. So he got a scholarship to Massachusetts Tech. He graduated head of his class there, too. It was all written up in the Boston papers at the time. Gonna be a great engineer, Joe was. But the war broke out, and he died in France. All that education for nothing.
Get up, Bessie. What's the matter with you today?
Here comes Howie Newsom delivering milk.
Morning, Doc.
Oh, good morning, Howie.
Is somebody sick?
No, just a pair of twins born over to Mr. Lasky's.
Twins, eh? This town's getting bigger every year.
What's the weather telling you today, Howie? Going to rain?
No, it's a fine day. No pardon for it. Come on, Bessie.
Oh, hello, Bessie. Howie, how old is she?
Going on 17. Bessie's all mixed up about the route. Ever since the Lockhart stopped taking their quart of milk every day. She wants to leave McCourt just the same. You scold me the whole trip.
Good morning, Howie.
Morning, Mrs. Gibbs. Doc's just down the street.
Is he? Seems like you're late today.
Yeah. Something wrong with the separator. Not sure what it was.
Children, time to get up. George, Rebecca.
Come on, Bessie.
Everything all right, Frank?
Oh, everything's fine. Easy as can
Bacon will be ready in a minute. Sit down and drink your coffee. You can catch a couple hours sleep this morning, can't you?
Well, let's see now. Oh, Miss Wensworth's coming at 11. Bet I know why, too. Her stomach ain't what it ought to be.
All told, you won't get more than 3 hours sleep. Frank Gibbs, I don't know what's going to become of you. I do wish I could get you to go someplace and take a rest. I think it would do you good.
Emily, time to get up. Wally, 7 o'clock.
I declare you gotta say something to George. Something's come over him lately, and he's no help to me at all. I can't even get him to cut me some wood.
What, is he sassy to you?
Oh no, he just whines. All he thinks about is that baseball. George, Rebecca, you'll be late for school!
Great, here we go again.
George!
George, look sharp!
Yes, Ma.
Don't you hear your mother calling you? Well, I guess I'll go upstairs and catch 40 winks.
Emily, Wally, you'll be late for school. Wally, you wash yourself good or I'll come and do it myself.
Ma, what dress shall I wear?
Don't make a noise. Your father's been out all night and needs his rest. I washed and ironed the blue gingham for you special.
Ma, I hate that dress.
Oh, hush up with you.
Every day I go to school dressed like a sick turkey.
Now, Rebecca, you always look very nice.
Mama, George is throwing soap in
grandchildren healthy and bright?
I'm both, Mama. You know I am. I'm the brightest girl in school for my age. I have a wonderful memory.
Eat your breakfast.
I'm bright too, when I'm looking at my stamp collection.
I'll talk to your father about it when he's rested. Seems to me 25 cents a week's enough for a boy your age. I declare I don't know how you spend it all.
Aw, Ma, I got a lot of things to buy.
Strawberry phosphate, that's what you spent it on.
I don't see how Rebecca comes to have so much money. She's got more than $1.
I've been saving it up gradually. Well, dear, I think it's a good thing to spend some every now and then.
Mama, do you know what I love most in the world through you? Money.
Eat your breakfast.
Oh, there's your first bell, Ma.
Children, walk fast. You don't have to run. Molly, close your pants with me. And please stand up straight.
Tell Miss Foster I sent my best congratulations. Can you remember that?
Yes, Mom.
You look real nice, Rebecca. Pick up your feet.
Bye.
Here, chick, chick, chick. Here, chick, chick, chick.
No, no, no.
You go away. Oh, go away. Fight, fight, fight. That's all you do. Here, chick, chick. Well, where did you come from? You don't belong to me. Oh, don't be scared. No one's gonna hurt you. Good morning, Myrtle. How's your cold?
Well, I still get that tickling feeling in my throat. Told Charles I didn't know if I'd go to choir practice tonight. Wouldn't be any use.
Have you tried singing over your voice?
Yes, but somehow I can't do that and stay on key. While I'm resting myself, I thought I'd drink some of these beans.
Let me help you. Beans have been good this year.
I decided to put up 40 quarts if it kills me. The children say they hate them, but they get them down all winter.
Now, Myrtle, I've got to tell you something because if I don't tell somebody, I'll burst.
Why, Julia Gibbs.
Here, hand me some more of those beans. Myrtle, did one of those second-hand furniture men from Boston come to visit you last Friday?
No.
Well, he called on me. At first, I thought he was a patient want to see Dr. Gibbs. And he wormed his way into my parlor. And Myrtle Webb, he offered me $350 for Grandmother Wentworth's highboy. As I'm sitting here.
Why, Julia Gibbs.
He did! That old thing. Why, it was so big and I didn't know where to put it. And I almost gave it to Cousin Hester Wilcox.
Well, you're going to take it, aren't you? I don't know. You don't know? $350? What's come over you?
Well, if I could get the doctor to take the money and go someplace on a real trip, I'd sell it like that. You know, Myrtle, it's always been the dream of my life to see Paris, France. I don't know. It sounds crazy, I suppose. But for years, I've been telling myself that if we ever had the chance,
How does the doctor feel about it?
well, I did beat about the bush a little and said that if I got a legacy, that's the way I put it, I'd make him take me somewhere.
What did he say?
Oh, you know how he is. I haven't heard a serious word out of him since I've known him. No, he says, it might make him discontented with Grover's Corners to go traipsing about Europe. Better let well enough alone, he says. Every 2 years, he makes his trip to the battlefields of the Civil War. And that's enough treat for anybody, he says.
Well, Mr. Webb just admires the way Dr. Gibbs knows everything about the Civil War. Mr. Webb's a good mind to give up Napoleon and move over to the Civil War. Only Doc Gibbs, being one of the greatest experts in the country, just makes him despair.
It's a fact. Dr. Gibbs is never so happy as when he's at Antietam or Gettysburg. Oh, the times I've walked over those hills, Myrtle, stopping at every bush and pacing it all out like we were going to buy it.
Well, if that second-hand man is really serious about buying it, Julia, you sell it. Then you'll get to see Paris all right. Just keep dropping hints from time to time. That's how I got to see the Atlantic Ocean, you know.
I'm sorry I mentioned it. Only it seems to me that once in your life before you die, you ought to go to a place where they don't talk in English and don't even want to.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you very much. Now, we want to know a little bit more information about the town. A sort of scientific account, you might say. So I've asked Professor Willard of our state university to sketch in a few details of our past history here. Is Professor Willard here? Oh, yes. May I introduce Professor Willard from State University? Thank you very much, Professor. A few brief notes. Unfortunately, our time is limited.
Grover's Corners. Let me see. Grover's Corners lies on the old Pleistocene granite of the Appalachian Range. I may say it is some of the oldest land in the world. We're very proud of that. A shelf of Devonian basalt crosses it with vestiges of Mesozoic shale and some sandstone outcroppings, but that's all more recent. 200, 300 million years ago. Oh, some highly interesting fossils have been found, I may say. Unique fossils 2 miles out of town in Silas Peckham's cow pasture. Now, they can be seen at the museum in our university at any time, that is, at any reasonable time. Oh, shall I read some of Professor Gruber's notes on the meteorological situation, mean precipitation, etc.?
Afraid we won't have time for that, Professor. But we might have some more information on the history of man here.
Yes, yes. Anthropological data, early Amerindian stock, Comanche tribes, no evidence before the 10th century of this era. Now entirely disappeared. Possible traces in 3 families, migration toward the end of the 17th century of English brachiocephalic blue-eyed stock. For the most part, since then, just some Slav Mediterranean.
And the population, Professor?
Within the town limits, 2,640. And there are some.
Excuse me, Professor.
Yeah. Oh, yes, indeed. The population at the moment is 2,642. The postal district brings in 507 more, making a total of 3,149. Mortality and birth rates, constant. Climate persons, gauge 6.032.
Well, thank you very much, Professor. We're all very much obliged to you, I'm sure.
Not at all, ma'am, not at all.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Professor. And now the political and social report. Mr. Webb, Editor Webb, he'll be here in a minute. He just cut his hand while he's eating an apple. Oh, thank you, Mrs. Webb. Charles, everybody's waiting. Mr. Webb is the publisher and editor of the Grover's Corners Sentinel. That's our local paper, you know.
Well, I don't need to tell you that we're run here by a board of selectmen. All males vote at the age of 21, women vote indirect. We're primarily lower middle class, spoon-king of some professional men, 10% illiterate laborers. Politically, we're 86% Republican, 6% Democrat, 4% socialist, the rest indifferent. Religiously, we're 85% Protestant, 12% Catholic, the rest Jewish.
Have you any comments, Mr. Webb?
Very ordinary town, if you'd ask me. A little better behaved than most, but probably a lot duller. Our young people seem to like it well enough, though. 90% of them settled down right here to live, even after they've been away to college.
Now, is there anybody in the audience who would like to ask Mr. Webb anything about it? Yes.
Is there much drinking in Grover's Corners?
Well, ma'am, very much. Saturday nights, the farmhands meet down in Ellery Greeno's stable and holler some. And we've got 1 or 2 town drunks, but they're always having remorses when an evangelist comes to town. No, ma'am, liquor ain't a regular thing in the home here, except in the medicine chest. Right good for snake bites, always was.
Is there no one in town aware of
Excuse me, can you please step forward? Or we can all hear you. So what were you saying?
Is there no one in town aware of social injustice and industrial inequality?
Oh yes, everybody is. Something terrible. Seems like all they talk about is who's rich and who's poor.
Then why don't they do something about it?
Well, I don't know. I guess we're all searching like everybody else for a way the diligent and sensible can rise to the top, and a way the lazy and quarrelsome can sink to the bottom. But it ain't easy to find. Till then, we do all we can to help those who can't help themselves and those that we can leave alone. Are there any other questions?
Oh, Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Webb, is there any culture or love of beauty in Grover's Corners?
Well, ma'am, there ain't much. Not in the sense you mean. Well, come to think of it, we do have some girls who play piano at high school commencement every year, but they ain't happy about it. No, ma'am, there isn't much culture. But perhaps this is the place to tell you that we have a lot of pleasures of a kind here. We like the sun coming up over the mountain in the morning. And we all notice a good deal about the birds. We pay a lot of attention to them. And we notice the change in the seasons. We all know about those. But you're right, man. Those other things, there isn't much. Oh, now, Handel's Largo and the Bible, we know those. And Whistler's Humming. But those are just about as far as we go, ma'am.
So I thought. Thank you, Mr. Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Webb. All right, now we'll go back to the town. It's early afternoon. All 2,642 have had their suppers, and all the dishes have been washed. There's an early afternoon calm in our town, a sort of buzzing and humming coming from the schoolyards. Hardly any buggies on Main Street, horses dozing at their hippie posts. You all remember what it's like. Doc Gibbs is in his office, tapping people, making them say ah. Mr. Webb is mowing his lawn. You know, 1 man in 10 thinks it's a privilege to push his own lawnmower. Oh, no, sir, it is later than I thought. There are children coming home from school already.
I can't, Louise. I've got to go home and help my mother. I promise.
Emily, won't simply. Who do you think you are today?
Oh, Papa, you're terrible. 1 minute you're telling me to stand up straight, the next minute you're calling me names. I just don't listen to you.
Ellie, I've never been kissed by such a great lady before.
Oh, excuse me, Miss Forrest.
Get out to the fields, young man. You have no business playing on Main Street.
Awfully sorry, Miss Forrest. Hello, Emily.
Hello, George.
You made a fine speech in class today.
Well, I was really ready to make a speech about the Monroe Doctrine. But at the last minute, Miss Corker made me talk about the Louisiana Purchase instead. I mean, I worked an awful long time on both of them.
Gee, it's funny, Emily. From my window up there, I can just see your head. Actually, you're doing homework over in your room.
Why, can you?
You certainly do stick to it, Emily. I don't see how you can sit still for that long. You must like school.
Figure it's just something you've got to go through.
Yeah,
I don't mind it really. It passes the time.
yeah. Emily, what do you say we work out kind of a telegraph from your window to mine? And once in a while, you could give me a hint or two about one of those algebra problems. I don't mean the answers, Emily, of course not. Just a few little hints.
Oh, well, I think hints are allowed. So if you get stuck, George, you whistle at me and I'll give you some hints.
Gee, Emily, you're just naturally bright, I guess.
I figure it's just the way a person's born.
Yeah. But you see, I want to be a farmer. And my Uncle Luke says that when I'm old enough, I can go work on his farm. And if I'm any good, I can just gradually have it.
You mean the house and everything?
Yeah. Well, I gotta take it around to the baseball fields. Thanks for the talk, Emily. Good afternoon, Miss Morris.
Good
Miss Webb, sorry.
Good afternoon, George.
So long, Emily.
So long, George.
Emily, come and help me string some of these beans for the winter. George Gibbs himself a real conversation, didn't he? Why, he's growing up. How old would George be?
I don't know.
Let's see. He must be almost 16.
Mama, I made a speech in class today, and I was very good.
You must recite it to your father at supper. What was it about?
The Louisiana Purchase. It was like silk off a spool. I'm gonna make speeches all my life. Mama, are these big enough?
Try and give him a little bigger if you can.
Mama, can I ask you a question? Serious?
Seriously, dear, not serious.
Seriously, can I?
Of course.
Mama, am I good looking?
Yes, of course you are. All my children have got good features. I'd be ashamed if they hadn't.
Mama, that's not what I meant. What I meant was, am I pretty?
I've already told you yes. Now that's enough of that. You have a nice, young, pretty face. I never heard of such foolishness.
Oh, Mama, you never tell us the truth about anything.
I am telling you the truth.
Mama, were you pretty?
Yes, I was, if I do say it. I was the prettiest girl in town, next to Mamie Cartwright.
Well, Mama, you've got to say something about me. Am I pretty enough to get anybody, to get people interested in me?
Emily, you make me tired. You're pretty enough for all normal purposes. Now come along and bring that gold with you.
Mama, you're no help at all.
I have to interrupt here again. But thank you, Mrs. Webb. Thank you, Emily. There are a few more things we want to explore about the town. And I right interest has just begun building a bank in Grover's Corners. Had to go to Vermont for the marble, sorry to say. But they've asked a friend of mine what they should put in the cornerstone for people to dig up 1,000 years from now. Naturally, they put in a copy of the New York Times and Mr. Lebb's Sentinel. I'm sort of interested in this because these scientific fellas have created this sort of glue, a silicate glue. And you paint it on reading matter, and it makes it last 1,000, 2,000 years. And they put in a copy of the Bible, and of the Constitution of the United States, and a copy of William Shakespeare's plays. What do you say? What do you think? You know, Babylon once had 2 million people in it. And all we know about them are the names of kings and some copies of wheat contracts, and copies for the sale of slaves. And yet, every night, the family sat down to dinner, and the father came home from work, the smoke went up the chimney, same as here. And even in Greece or Rome, all we know about the real lives of people come from the joking poems or comedies written for the plays back then. So I decided to put a copy of this play into the cornerstone, so people 1,000 years from now will know a few simple facts about us. More than the Treaty of Versailles or the Limburg flight. See what I mean? So, people 1,000 years from now. This is the way we were in the provinces north of New York in the early 20th century. This is the way we were. In our growing up, and in our living, and in our marrying, and in our dying. Well, a good deal of time has gone by. It's evening. You can hear the choir practicing in the Congregational Church. The children are at home doing their schoolwork. Day is running down like a tired clock.
Now, look here, everyone. Music come into the world to bring pleasure. Softer. Softer. Get it out of your heads that music's only good when it's loud. You leave loudness to the Methodists. You can beat it if you wanted to. Now again, tenors.
Emily!
Hello.
Hello?
I can't work at all. The moonlight is so terrible.
Emily! Did you get the third problem?
Which?
The third!
Why, yes, George, it's the easiest of them all.
I don't see it. Could you give me a hint?
I'll tell you one thing. The answer is in yards.
In yards? How do you mean?
In square yards.
Oh. Square yards.
Yes, George, don't you see?
Yeah.
In square yards of wallpaper.
Wallpaper, oh, I see. Thanks a lot, Emily.
You're welcome. My, isn't the moonlight terrible? Choir practice going on? I bet if you hold your breath, you can hear the train all the way to Pontico. Hear it?
What do you know?
Well, I guess I'd better go back and try to work.
Good night, Emily. Thank you.
Good night, George. Now, before I forget it, how many of you will be able to come in on Tuesday afternoon and sing at Fred Hersey's wedding? Show your hands. Yeah, that would be fine. That'll be right nice. We'll do the same music we did at James Roberts' last month. Now we'll do Octave Ruby, Octave Languid. It's a question, ladies and gentlemen, make it talk. Ready?
Oh, George, can you come down a minute?
Yes, Bob.
Oh, grab a seat, son. I'm only going to keep you for a minute. George, how old are you?
I'm 16, almost 17.
And what do you want to do once school's over?
Well, you know, Pop. I want to be a farmer on Uncle Luke's farm.
Oh, so you'd be willing, Willie, to get up early and milk and feed the stock? And you'd be willing to hoe and hay all day?
Well, sure I will. What do you mean?
Well, son, while I was in my office today, I heard a funny sound. What do you think that was? It was your mother chopping wood. There you see her getting up early, cooking meals all day long, washing and ironing, and still she has to go out in the backyard and chop wood. I guess she just got tired of asking you and decided it'd be better off she do it herself. And you eat her meals and you wear the clothes she keeps nice for you and you go run out and play baseball. Like she's some hired girl you keep around the house. Don't like her very much. Well, son, I knew all I had to do was call your attention to it. Here, have a handkerchief. Now, George, I decided to raise your spending money 25 cents a week.
But Pa,
Not, of course, for chopping wood for your mother, because that's a present you give to her. But because you're getting older. And I imagine there are lots of things you must find to do with it.
thanks, Pa.
Not much, no. Let's see now. Tomorrow's your payday. You can count on it. Oh, probably Rebecca will feel she ought to have some more, too. Wonder where your mother is. Choir practice was never as late as this before.
It's only 8:30, Pa.
I don't even know why she's in that old choir. She hasn't any more voice than an old crow. Drakes around the street this late at night. Just about time she retired, don't you think?
Yes, Pa. Good night, Pa.
Good night, Martha. Good night, Mr. Foster.
Goodbye. I'll tell Mr. Webb I'll know who wants to put in the paper.
My, it's late.
Good night, Irma.
Real nice choir practice, wasn't it? Myrtle Webb, look at that moon. Potato weather for sure.
Naturally, I didn't want to say a word of it in front of those others, but now we're alone. Really, it's the worst scandal there ever was in this town.
What?
Simona Stinson.
Now Luella.
But Julia, to have the organist of a church drink and drunk year after year. You know she was drunk tonight.
Now Luella, we all know about Mrs. Stimson, and we all know about the struggles she's been through, and Dr. Ferguson knows too. And if Dr. Ferguson decides to keep her on there in her job, the only thing the rest of us can do is just not to notice it.
Not to notice it, but it's getting worse.
No, it isn't, Luella. I've been at choir twice as long as you have. It doesn't happen anywhere near so often. My, I hate to go to bed on a night like this. I better hurry. Those children will be waiting up to all hours. Good night, Luella.
Can you get home safe, Luella?
It's as bright as day. I can see Mr. Soames scowling at the window now. You'd think we'd been to a dance that let the menfolk carry on.
Well, we had a real nice time.
You're late enough.
Why, Frank? It ain't any later than usual.
And you stopping at the corner to gossip to a lot of hens.
Now, don't be grouchy. Come out and smell the heliotrope in the moonlight. Isn't that wonderful?
Yes.
What did you do all the time I was away?
Oh, I read as usual. What were the girls gossiping about tonight?
Well, believe me, Frank, there is something to gossip about.
Oh. Simona Simpson Bardon, was she?
The worst I've ever seen her. How will that end, Frank? Dr. Ferguson can't forgive her forever.
I guess I know more about Simona Simpson's affairs than anybody in this town. Some people just ain't made for small town life. The best thing we can do is just let it alone. Come, get it.
No, not yet. Frank, I'm worried about you.
What are you worried about?
I think it's my duty to make sure you get a real rest and change. And if I get that legacy, well, I'm going to insist on it.
Now, Julia, there's no sense in going over this again.
Why, Frank, you're just unreasonable.
Come on, Julia. It's getting late. Before you know it, you're going to catch a cold. You know, I gave George a piece of my mind tonight. I reckon you'll have your wood chopped for a few weeks now.
There's always so much to pick up, seems like. You know, Frank, Mrs. Fairchild always locks her front door every night. All those people at that part of town do.
That's the trouble with them. They're all just getting citified. They have nothing fit to burgle, and everybody knows it.
Get out, Rebecca. There's only room for one of this window. You're always spoiling everything.
Oh, let me look just a minute.
Use your own window.
I did, but there's no room there. George, do you know what I think, Judy? I think maybe the moon's getting nearer and nearer, and there'll be a big explosion.
Rebecca, you don't know nothing. If the moon were getting near, people who stood up all night with telescopes would see it first. And they'd tell us about it. It'd be in all of the newspapers.
George, is the moon shining on South America, Canada, and half the whole world?
Well, probably is.
9:30. Most of the lights are out. No, there's Constable Warren trying a few houses on Main Street. And Editor Webb, he's coming to put his newspaper to bed.
Good evening, Wilma.
Good evening, Mr. Webb.
Quite a moon.
Yep,
All quiet tonight.
Simona Simpson's rolling around a little. I just saw her husband out and hung her. I looked the other way. Here she comes now.
Good evening, Simona. Town seems to have settled down for the night pretty well. Simona? I said the town has settled down for the night pretty well. Perhaps we should do the same. Let me walk along a ways with you. Good night.
I don't know how that's going to end, Mr. Webb.
Well, she's seen a peck of trouble. One thing after another with her. Say, Wilma, if you see my boy smoking any cigarettes, you give him a word or two, will you? Thinks a lot of you.
I don't think he smokes no cigarettes, Mr. Webb. Leastways, not more than 2 or 3 a year.
I hope not. Good night.
Good night, Mr. Webb.
Myrtle, is that you up there?
No, Papa, it's me.
Emily, why aren't you in bed?
I don't know. Just not tired yet. The moonlight is so wonderful. And the smell of Mrs. Gibbs's heliotrope? Can you smell it?
Yes, I can. Haven't any troubles on your mind, have you, Emily?
Troubles, Papa? No.
All right. Don't let your mother catch you. Enjoy yourself. Good night, Emily.
Good night, Papa.
I never told you about that letter Jane Copic got from her minister when she was sick. Well, he wrote her letter, and on the envelope the address was like this. It said, Jane Copic, the Copic Farm, Grover's Corner, Sutton County, New Hampshire, the United States of America.
What's funny about that?
But listen, it's not finished. The United States of America, the continent of North America, the Western Hemisphere, the Earth, the solar system, the universe, the mind of God. That's what it said on the envelope.
What do you know?
And the postman brought it just the same.
What do you know?
That's the first act, friends. You can go smoke now. Those good smoke.
I guess we're all late.
Three years have gone by. The sun's come up over 1,000 times. Summers and winters cracked the mountain a bit. The rain brought most of the dirt down. Some babies that weren't even born before have already begun speaking in regular sentences. And some people who felt that they were right young and spry have noticed that they can't quite bound up the flight of stairs like they used to, without their heart fluttering a little. All that can happen in 1,000 days. Well, nature's been pushing and contriving in other ways as well. A bunch of young people decided to fall in love and get married. The first act is called Daily Life, and this act is called Love and Marriage. Now we've got the third act coming. I reckon you can guess what that's about. Yes! The mountain got away a few fractions of an inch. Millions of gallons of water went by the mill. And here and there world gets married. You know what I mean? And our town's no exception. Most people here climb into their graves married. Well, as I said, it's 3 years later. It's just after high school commencement. You know, that's the time that most of our young folk decide to jump up and get married. As soon as they pass their last examinations in solid geometry and Cicero's orations, they suddenly see themselves right fit to be married. Oh, it's early morning, only this time it's been raining. It's been pouring and thundering. Mrs. Gibbs's garden and Mrs. Webb's here, drenched. All those bean poles and key vines, drenched. All yesterday, the rain looked like curtains being blown along Main Street. Might begin again any minute. Oh, there. You can hear the 5:45 for Boston. Here comes Mrs. Gibbs and Mrs. Webb, coming downstairs to make breakfast as though it were an ordinary day. Now, I don't have to tell the women in my audience that those ladies they see before them, both those ladies cook 3 meals a day, each. One for 20 years, the other for 40. No summer vacation. They brought up 2 children apiece, washed, cleaned the house, and never a nervous breakdown. It's like what one of those Western poets said. You've got to love life to have life. And you've got to have life to love life. It's what they call a vicious circle.
Get out, Bessie.
Here comes Howie Newsome delivering the milk. Oh, and that's Side Crowell, delivering the paper like his brother before him. Morning, Howie.
Morning, Side. Anything in the paper you ought to know?
Nothing much. Except for news about the best baseball player Rovers Corners ever had, George Gibbs.
I reckon he is.
He can hit and run bases too.
Yep, he's a mighty fine ball player. Whoa, Bessie! I guess I could stop and talk if I mind too.
I don't see how you could give up a thing like that just to go off and get married. Would you have?
Can't tell, Si. Never had no talent that way. You're up early, Wilma.
Seeing if there's anything I can do to prevent the flood. The river's been rising all night.
Si Crowell's all worked up here about George Gibbs retiring from baseball.
Yes, sir. That's the way it goes. Back in '84, we had a player. Side with George Gibbs couldn't touch it. Name of St. Todd. Wonderful ball player. He went down to Maine and became a partisan. Howie, how does the weather look to you?
Oh, ain't bad. I think maybe it'll clear up for good.
Good morning, Howie.
Morning, Mrs. Gibbs.
You think it's gonna rain again?
Well, the rain's so heavy, I think maybe it'll clear up.
Certainly hope it will.
How much did you want today?
I'm gonna have a house full of relations, Howie. Looks like I'll need 3 of milk and 2 of cream.
My wife says to tell you, so we both hope we'll be very happy together, Mrs. Gibbs. No, they will.
Thanks a lot, Howie. Tell your wife I hope she gets there for the wedding.
She'll get there. She'll get there if she can.
Good morning, Mr. Newsom. I know I told you 4 quarts of milk, but I hope you can spare me another.
Yes, ma'am. And the 2 of cream.
Will that start raining again?
Well, I was just telling Mrs. Gibbs this how it might lighten up. Mrs. Newsom told me to tell you this, so we both hope we'll be very happy together, Mrs. Webb. No, they will.
Oh, thank you, and thank you, Mrs. Newsom. Counting on seeing you at the wedding.
You hope to be there. Couldn't miss that. Come on, Bessie.
Well, Ma, the day has finally come. You're losing one of your chicks.
Frank, kids, don't you say another word. I feel like crying every minute. Sit down and drink your coffee.
The groom's up shaving himself. Only there ain't an awful lot to shave. Whistling and singing, like he's glad to leave us. Now, every now and then he says I do in the mirror, but it don't sound convincing to me.
I declare, Frank, I don't know how we'll get along. I've seen to it. He's put warm things on, and I've arranged his clothes. Frank, they're too young. Emily won't think of such things. He'll catch a death of cold within a week.
You know, I was remembering our wedding morning, Julia.
Don't you start that, Frank Gibbs.
Why, I was the scariest young fella in the state of New Hampshire. I thought I made a mistake for sure. But when I saw you coming down that aisle, why, I thought you were the prettiest girl I'd ever seen. The only trouble was, I had never seen you before. There I was in the Congregational Church, marrying a total stranger.
And how do you think I felt? Frank, weddings are perfectly awful things. Farces, that's what they are. Here, I've made you something.
Why, Julia Hersey, French toast.
It ain't hard to make, and I had to do something.
So how'd you sleep last night, Julia?
Well, I heard a lot of the hours struck off.
Yes, I get a shock every time I think of George setting out to be a family man. The great gangling thing. I tell you, Julia, there is nothing so terrifying in the world as a son. The relationship of father and son is the darndest, awkwardest,
Well,
most...
mother and daughter's no picnic, let me tell you.
They'll have their troubles, I suppose. That's none of our business. Everybody has a right to their own troubles.
Yes. So I meant to go to like 2 by 2. Ain't natural to be lonesome.
Julia, do you want to know one of the things I was scared of most when I first married you?
Oh, go along with you.
I was afraid we wouldn't have conversation to last us more than a few weeks. I was afraid we'd run out and eat our meals in silence. That's a fact. Well, it's been 20 years now and we've been conversing without any noticeable barren spells.
Yes, well, good weather, bad weather. Ain't very choice, but I always find something to say. Did you hear Rebecca stirring upstairs?
Nope. Only day of the year Rebecca hasn't been managing everybody's business up there. She's hiding in a room. I got the impression she's crying.
Lord's sakes, this has got to stop. Rebecca! Rebecca, come and get your breakfast.
Good morning, everybody. Only 5 more hours to live.
George Gibbs, where are you going?
Just stepping across the grass to see my girl.
Why, George, you put on your overshoes. It's raining torrents. You won't go out of this house without you're prepared for it.
Ma, it's just a step.
George, you'll catch your death of cold and cough all through the service.
George, you do as your mother tells you.
From tomorrow on, you can kill yourself in all weathers. But while you live in my house, you'll live wisely, thank you. Perhaps Mrs. Webb isn't used to callers at 7 in the morning. Here, take a cup of coffee first.
I'll be back in a minute. Good morning, Mother West.
Goodness, George, you frightened me. Now, you can come in a minute as a wet, but you know I can't ask you in.
Why not?
You know well as I do. The groom can't see his bride on his wedding day. The ironsmith sees her in the church.
Oh, that's just superstition. Good morning, Mr. Webb.
Good morning, George.
You don't believe in that superstition, do you, Mr. Webb?
Well, George, there's a lot of common sense in some superstitions.
Millions have followed it, and you don't want to be the first to fly in the face of custom.
How is Emily?
She hasn't waked up yet.
Emily's asleep?
No wonder. We're up all night sewing and packing. Now, I'll tell you what I'll do. You sit down here a minute with Mr. Webb and drink this cup of coffee. I'll go upstairs and see if she can come down and surprise you. There's some baking too, but don't be long about it.
Well, George, how are you?
Fine. Mr. Webb, what sense could there be in superstition like that?
Well, you see, George, on a wedding morning, a girl's head is apt to be full of clothes and one thing or another. Don't you think that's probably it?
Yeah, I never thought of that.
A girl's apt to be mighty nervous on a wedding morning, George.
Yeah. You know, I wish a fella could get married without all that marching up and down the aisle.
You know, every man that's ever lived has felt that way about it, George. But it ain't been any use. It's the women folk who built up weddings, my boy. For a while now, they've had it all their own. A man looks pretty small at the wedding, George. All those good women standing shoulder to shoulder and making sure that knot's tied in a mighty public way.
But you believe in it, don't you, Mr. Webb?
Oh, yes, yes. Marriage is a wonderful thing, my boy. A wonderful thing. Now, don't you forget that, George.
No, sir. Mr. Webb, how old were you when you got married?
Oh, well, you see, I'd been away to college and I'd taken some time to get settled. But Mrs. Webb wasn't much older than what Emily is. Oh, age hasn't much to do with it, George. Not as much as, other things.
What were you going to say, Mr. Webb?
Oh, I don't know. Was I going to say something? George, I was thinking the other night about something my father told me when I got married. Charles, he said, Charles, start it early by showing his boss. Best thing to do is to give an order, even if it don't make any sense. Just so she'll learn to obey. And if anything about your wife irritates you, anything at all, just get up and leave the house. And that'll prove it to her. And the most important thing, he told me never, never let your wife know how much money you have, ever.
Well, Mr. Webb, I don't think I can do
So
that.
I took the opposite of my father's advice. And I've been happy ever since. So let that be a lesson to you, George. Never to take advice on personal matters.
Yeah.
Are you going to raise chickens on your farm, George?
What?
Are you going to raise chickens on your farm?
Well, Uncle Luke's never been much interested,
A
but...
book came into my office the other day, George, on the Philo system of raising chickens. I'd like you to read it. I'm thinking of starting a swamp in a small way myself in the backyard, and I'll put an incubator in the cellar so
Charles,
I
are you talking about that old incubator again? I thought you two would be talking about something worthwhile.
Well, Myrtle, if you'd like to give the boy some good advice, I'll go upstairs and let you talk to him.
George, Emily's got to come downstairs and eat her breakfast. She sends you her love, but doesn't want to lay eyes on you. Goodbye.
Bye. Well, Myrtle, it looks like you don't know about that older superstition.
What do you mean, Charles?
Well, since the cavemen, no bridegroom should see his father-in-law the day of the wedding. Now you remember that.
Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Wood. Now I have to interrupt you again. You see, we want to know how all this began. This wedding, this plan to spend a life together. Now, I'm awful interested in how big things like that begin. Well, you know how it is. You're 21 or 22, you make some decisions, and then bam, you're 70. You've been a lawyer for 50 years, and that white-haired lady by your side has eaten over 50,000 meals with you. How do such things begin? George and Emily are going to show you now the conversation they first had when they knew that, as the saying goes, that they were meant for each other. But before they do it, I want you to try and remember what it was like to have been very young, particularly the days when you were first in love, when you were like a person sleepwalking. You didn't quite hear what was being said to you. You didn't quite see the street you were in. You're just a little bit crazy. Can you remember that, please? Now, coming out of the high school around 3 o'clock, George has just been elected president of the junior class. And seeing how it's June, that means he'll be president of the senior class all next year. And Emily's just been elected secretary and treasurer. I don't have to tell you how important that is. Oh yeah, here they are coming down Main Street now.
I can't, Louise. I've got to go home. Oh, Ernestine. Ernestine, can you come over tonight and do Latin? Isn't that Cicero the worst thing? Tell your mother you have to. Goodbye, Helen. Goodbye, Fred.
Hey, Emily. Can I carry your books home for you?
Thank you. It isn't far.
Hold on a second, Emily. Say, Bob, if I'm a little late, start practice without me. Oh, and throw Herb some long high ones.
Goodbye, Lindsay. Goodbye, Catherine.
Bye, Lizzie. Bye, Catherine. I'm awfully glad you were elected too, Emily.
Thank you.
Emily? Are you mad at me?
Not mad at you.
But you've been treating me so funny lately.
Well, George, since you asked me, I might as well come right out and say it. George, goodbye, Miss Corcoran.
Goodbye, Miss Corcoran. Now, Emily.
I don't like the whole change that's come over you in the past year. I'm sorry if that hurts your feelings, but I've had to tell the truth and shame the devil.
A change? What do you mean?
Well, up to a year ago, I used to like you. Why? I used to watch you as you did everything, because we've been such friends for so long.
Yeah.
But then you began spending all your time at baseball, and you never stopped to talk to anybody anymore. Not even your own family you didn't. And, George, it's a fact. You've gotten awful conceited and stuck up lately, and all the girls say so. They may not say it to your face, but they sure do say it behind your back. And it hurts. It hurts me to hear them say it, George, but I've got to agree with them a little. You know, I'm real sorry if it hurts your feelings, but I can't be sorry I said it.
I'm glad you said that. I didn't know such a thing was happening. I guess it's hard for a fellow not to have some false treatment to his character.
Well, I always expect a man to be perfect, and I think he should be.
Well, I don't think it's possible for a man to be perfect, Emily.
My father is, and as far as I can see, your father is. So there's no reason on earth why you shouldn't be too.
Well, I feel it's the other way around. The men aren't always perfect, but girls are.
You may as well know right now that I'm not perfect. It's not as easy for a girl to be as perfect as a man, because we girls are more troubled. Now, sorry I said all that about you before. I don't know what made me say it. Now, I can tell that it's not the truth anyway, and I suddenly feel it isn't important anyway.
Emily, you want to get an ice cream soda with me before you go home?
Thank you. I would.
Good afternoon, Miss Johnson.
Hi, George.
Good afternoon, Miss Sloan.
Hello, George. Emily. What do you have? Why, Emily, what have you been crying about?
Oh, no, she just got an awful scare this morning. She almost got run over by the hard store wagon. Everyone says Tom Huckins drives like a crazy man.
You take a glass of water, Emily. You look all shook up. I tell you, you gotta look both ways before you cross Main Street these days. All right. Now, what do you have?
I'll have a strawberry phosphate. Thank you, Miss Morgan.
No, Emily, have an ice cream soda with me. 2 strawberry ice cream sodas, please, Miss Morgan.
2 strawberry ice cream sodas. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You know, there are 125 horses in Grover's Corners this minute I'm talking to you. State inspector was in here yesterday. And now they're bringing in these automobiles. Best thing to do for a fella is just to stay home. Why, I remember a time when a dog could go to sleep on Main Street, and nobody would come along all day and disturb it. Oh, yes, Mrs. Ellis, how can I help you?
They're so expensive.
No, don't think about that. We're celebrating our election. You know what else I'm celebrating?
No?
I'm celebrating because I've got a friend who tells me all the things that ought to be told to me.
George, please don't think of that. I don't know what made you say it. It's not true.
No,
You're...
Emily, you stick to it. I'm glad he's spoken to me. But we will see. I'm going to change so quick, you bet I'm going to change. And Emily, I want to ask you a favor.
What?
If I go away to the agriculture college, will you write me a letter every once in a while?
Certainly will, George. Certainly will. It certainly seems like being away for years, you lose touch with things. Maybe letters from Grover's Corners wouldn't be so interesting after a while. Grover's Corners isn't a very important place when you think of it all. New Hampshire. But I think it's a wonderful town.
Emily, the day wouldn't come when I wouldn't want to know everything that's happening. And I know that's true.
Well, I'll try to keep my letters interesting.
You know, every time I meet a farmer, I ask him if he thinks it's important to go to Wayne State Agriculture College to be a good farmer.
Why, George.
And some of them say it's even a waste of time. You can get all that information and more out of the pamphlets the government sends out. And Uncle Luke's getting old. He's about ready for me to take over tomorrow if I could.
Why?
And like you said, being gone all that time, in other places and meeting other people, gosh, if anything like that can happen, I don't want to go away at all. I guess new people aren't any better than the old ones. I bet they almost never are. And Emily, I feel that you're as good of a friend as I've got. And not me to go away to other places and meet other people in other towns.
George, maybe it's very important for you to go and learn all that about cattle judging and soils and those things. Of course, I don't know.
Emily, I'm going to make up my mind right now. I won't go. And I'll tell Pa about it tonight.
Why, George, I don't see why you have to decide right now. It's a whole year away.
Emily, I'm glad you spoke to me about that fault in my character. And what you said was right. But there was one thing wrong with it. And that's when you said that for a year I wasn't noticing people, and you, for instance. Well, you said you were watching me while I was doing everything. Well, I was doing the same to you the whole time. Sure, I always thought of you as one of the chief people I thought about. I always made sure where you were sitting on the bleachers and who you were walking home with. And for a week now, I've been trying to walk home with you, but something's always got in the way. Like yesterday, I was standing over by the wall, and you walked home with Miss Corcoran.
George, how could I have known that? Why, I thought that
No,
you...
Emily, I'm going to tell you why I'm not going away. I feel that once you find a person that you're very fond of, and a person who's very fond of you too, and likes you enough to be interested in your character, well, I think that's just as important as college, and even more so. That's what I think.
I think it's awfully important, too.
And Emily,
Yes, George?
if I do improve and make a big change, could you be, or would you be,
I am now. I always have been.
I guess this is an important talk we've been having.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
wait a minute, I'll walk you home. Miss Morgan. Miss Morgan, I'll have to go home and get the money to pay for this.
Why, George, do you mean to tell me?
Yes, but I had reasons. Look, here's my gold watch. You keep it till I come back with the money.
You keep your watch, George. I trust you.
I'll be back in 5 minutes.
I'll trust you 10 years, George, not a day over. You got all over your shop, Emily?
Yes, Miss Morgan, it was nothing.
I'm ready.
Well, now we're ready to get on with the wedding. There are a lot of things that go on during a wedding. There are a lot of thoughts that go on during a wedding as well. And we can't fit them all into one wedding naturally, especially not one at Grover's Corners. They're often played short. In this wedding, I play the minister, which gives me the right to say a few more things about it. Okay, for a while now, the play does get pretty serious. You see, some churches say that marriage is a sacrament. Now, I don't quite know what that means, but I can guess. It's like what Mrs. Gibbs said a few minutes ago. People were made to live 2 by 2. Now, this is a good wedding. But even in a good wedding, people have so much confusion way down deep inside that we all thought that ought to be in our play as well. And the real hero of this scene isn't on stage at all. And you all know who that is. It's like what one of those European fellas said. Every child born is nature's attempt at creating a perfect human being. Well, we've seen nature pushing and contriving for some time now. And we all know that nature's interested in quantity. But I think she's interested in quality as well. That's why I'm in the ministry. And we can't forget the other witnesses at this wedding, the ancestors. Millions of them. Most of them set out to live 2 by 2 as well. Millions of them. Well, that's my sermon. It wasn't very long anyway.
Oh, I don't know why Bertha should be crying. I suppose there's nothing to cry about. It came over me this morning at breakfast. There was Emily, eating her breakfast that she's done for 17 years. And now she's going off to eat in someone else's house. I suppose that's it. And Emily, she suddenly said, I can't eat another mouthful. And she put her head down the table and she cried. Oh, I've got to say it. There's something downright cruel about sending our girls out to marriage this way. I hope her girlfriends have told her a thing or two. It's cruel, I know. I went into a blind as a bat myself. The whole world's wrong. That's what's the matter. Here they come.
Hey, Georgie, how's y'all?
George, don't so easy, yo geezer.
We all know what you're thinking.
Disgrace the team, big boy.
Now, we used to have a lot more of that in the old days. In Greece and Rome, and later. We're much more civilized now, so they say. George, what's the matter?
I don't want to grow old. Why is everyone pushing me so?
Why, George, you wanted it.
No, Mom, listen, I didn't.
No, George, no. You're a man now.
Listen, Ma, all I want to do is just be a fellow who can sit at home and...
Anybody should hear you. Why, I'm ashamed of you.
Where's Emily?
You gave me such a turn.
Cheer up, Ma. I'm getting married.
Let me just catch my breath a minute.
Now, Ma, you say Thursday nights. Every Thursday night, me and Emily are coming over for dinner. Ma, what are you crying about? Come on. You gotta get through this.
I've never felt so alone in my whole life. And George over there, looking so... Oh, I hate him. Oh, I wish I were dead. Oh, Papa! Papa!
Emily, don't get upset.
So, Papa, I don't want to get married.
Everything is all right.
Why can't I stay just for a while? Just as I am. Let's go away.
Emily, stop and think of it.
Don't you remember what you used to tell me? All the time you used to tell me, all the time that I was your girl. There must be lots of places we can go. I'll work for you. I'll keep house.
You mustn't say such things. You're just nervous. George, come over here a minute. Now, you're marrying one of the best guys in the world. George is a fine fellow.
Papa.
George, I'm giving away my daughter to you. You think you can take care of her?
I'll try.
Well, if you love me, help me. All I want is somebody to love me.
I'll try.
I mean forever. Do you hear me? Forever and ever.
All right, come on. They'll be waiting for us. Everything will be all right.
Do you, George, take this woman, Emily, to be your lawfully wedded wife?
Perfectly lovely wedding. Loveliest wedding I ever saw. Oh, I do love a good wedding, don't you? Doesn't she make a lovely bride?
I do.
And do you, Emily, take this man, George, to be your lawfully wedded husband?
Don't know when I've been to such a lovely wedding. I always cry. I don't know what it is, but I always cry. I just like to see young people happy, don't you? Oh, I think it's just lovely.
I do. I've married over 200 couples in my day. Do I believe in it? I don't know. M marries N, millions of them. The cottage, the go-kart rides, the Sunday afternoon drives in the Ford, the first rheumatism, the grandchildren, the second rheumatism, the deathbed, the reading of the will. Once in 1,000 times, it's interesting. Well, let's have Mendelssohn's Wedding March.
Aren't they a lovely couple? Oh, I've never been to such a nice wedding. I'm sure they'll be happy. That's what I always say. Happiness, that's the great thing. The important thing is to be happy.
That's the second act, friends. 10 minutes intermission. This time 9 years have gone by, friends. It's summer of 1913. Gradual changes in Grover's Corners. Horses are getting rarer. Farmers come into town on Fords now. Everybody locks their house doors at night. There haven't been any burglaries yet, but everybody's heard about them. You'd be surprised, though. On the whole, things do not change much around here. And this is certainly an important part of Grover's Corners. It's on a hilltop, a windy hilltop. Lots of sky, lots of grass, often lots of sun, lots of moon, lots of stars. You come up here on a fine day and you can see range on range of hills. Awful blue they are. Up by Lake Sunapee and Lake Winnipesaukee. And see the White Mountains, Mount Washington, where Conway and North Conway is. And our favorite mountain, Mount Monadnock's right here, and all the towns that surround it. Jaffrey and East Jaffrey, Peterborough, and Dublin. Way over there is Grover's Corners. Certainly is a lovely spot. Mountain laurel and lilacs. You know, I often wonder why people would rather be buried in Brooklyn or Woodlawn when they might pass their same time here in New Hampshire. Well, these are the old stones. 1670, 1680. Strong-minded people came a long way to become independent. Summer folk come up here and laugh the names of the tombstones. They don't do any harm. And genealogists come up from Boston, get paid by their city folk to trace their ancestry. They want to make sure that they're daughters of the American Revolution, or of the Mayflower. Well, I guess that don't do any harm either. Whenever you come near the human race, you get layers and layers of nonsense. And over here we have the Civil War veterans, iron flags on their graves. New Hampshire boys. They had a notion that the Union ought to be kept together, though they'd never seen more than 50 miles of it themselves. All they knew was the name, friends. The United States of America. The United States of America. And they went and died about it. And this is the new part of the cemetery. Here's your friend, Mrs. Gibbs. And Simona Stimpson, the organist of the Congregational Church. And Mrs. Soames, if you remember her, she loved the wedding. Oh, and lots of others. Editor Webb's boy, Wallace, his appendix burst while he was on a camping trip up to Crawford North. Yeah, an awful lot of sorrow is sort of quieted down up here. People just wild with grief, bringing their families up. You know how it is. You know, and then time, and sunny days, and rainy days, and snow. So we're all just glad that we're coming up here ourselves when our fit's over. You know, there are some things that we all know, but we don't take them out and look at them very often. But we all know that something is eternal. And it ain't houses, it ain't names, it ain't the earth, it ain't even the stars. And we all know that that something has to do with human beings. All the greatest people that have ever lived for 5,000 years have been telling us this. But you'd be surprised how often we lose hold of it. We all know that there's something down deep that's eternal about every human being. And you know as well as I do that the dead don't stay interested in us living folk for that long. Gradually, they lose hold of the earth. And the ambitions they had, and the pleasures they had, and the things they suffered, and the people they loved, they get weaned away. That's how I put it. Weaned away. And they sit up here while the earth part of them burns away, burns out. All the time slowly becoming more indifferent to what's going on in Grover's Corners. They're waiting. They're waiting for something they feel is coming. Something great and important. Aren't they waiting for the eternal part in them to come out clear? And some of the things that they might say, maybe will hurt your feelings. But that's the way it is. Money and miser, husband and wife, enemy and enemy, all these terribly important things go kind of pale around here. And what's left when memory's gone? Or your identity, Mrs. Smith? Well, you have some living folk. There's Josephine Stoddard, our undertaker, supervising a newly made grave. And there's a Grover's Corners girl who moved out west to work.
Josephine Stoddard.
Good afternoon. Let me see now. Do I know you?
I'm Samantha Craig.
Gracious sakes alive. Of all people, I should have known you'd be back for the funeral. You've been away a long time, Sam.
Yes, I've been away for over 12 years. I'm in business out in Buffalo now, Josephine.
but I was in the East when I got the news of my cousin's death, so I thought I'd combine things a little and come see you home. You look well.
Yes, can't complain. Very sad our journey today, Samantha.
Yes.
Yes, I always say I hate to supervise when a young person is taken. He should be here any minute now. I had to come here early today. My son's supervising at the home.
Old Farmer McCarty. I used to do chores for him after school. He had a lumbago.
Yes, we brought Farmer McCarty here a number of years ago now.
Why, this is my Aunt Julia. I'd forgotten that she, of course.
Yes, Doc Gibbs lost his wife 2-3 years ago now, about this time. And today's another pretty bad blow for him, too.
That's my sister Carrie's girl, Samantha. Samantha Craig. I'm always uncomfortable when they're around. Simona.
Do they choose their own verses much, Josephine?
No, not usual. Mostly the bereaved pick a verse.
Doesn't sound like Aunt Julia. There aren't many of those Hersey sisters left now. Let me see, where are... I wanted to look at my father's and mother's.
Over there with the Craigs. Avenue F.
She was the organist at church, wasn't she? Drank a lot, we used to say.
Yes, nobody was supposed to know about it. She'd seen a peck of trouble. All night, no, did she? Put herself in the attic. They tried to hush it up, but of course it got around. She chose her own epitaph. You can see it there. It ain't a verse exactly.
Why, it's just notes of music. What is it?
Oh, I wouldn't know. It was written up in the Boston papers at the time.
Josephine? Why did she die of? Who? My cousin.
Oh. You know, had some trouble bringing a baby into the world. What's her second, though? There's a little boy about 4 years old.
Grave's gonna be over there.
Yes, there ain't much more room over here among the Gibbses, so they're opening up a whole new Gibbs section over by Avenue B. You'll excuse me now. I see they're coming.
Who is it, Julia? My daughter-in-law, Emily Webb. Well, I declare, the road up here must have been awful muddy. What did she die of, Julia? In childbirth. Childbirth. I'd almost forgotten about that. My, wasn't life awful and wonderful? Wonderful, was it? Simona. Now remember. I remember Emily's wedding. Wasn't it a lovely wedding? And I remember her reading the class poem at graduation exercises. Emily was one of the brightest girls ever to attend high school. I heard Principal Wilkins say so time after time. I called them then at their new farm, just before I died. Perfectly lovely farm. It's on the same road we lived on.
Yep, right smart farm.
I always liked that hymn. I was hoping they'd sing that hymn. Hello.
Hello, Emily.
Hello, Miss Gibbs.
Hello, Mother Gibbs.
Emily?
Hello. It's raining.
Yes. We'll be gone soon, dear. Just rest yourself.
Oh, it seems thousands and thousands of years since Oh, Papa, remember that was my favorite hymn. I don't like being new here. I wish I were here for a long time. How do you do, Miss Dempson?
How do you do, Emily?
Mother Gibbs? George and I made that farm into just the best place you ever saw. We thought of you the whole time. We wanted to show you the new barn and the great long cement drinking fountain for the stock. We bought that out of the money that you left us.
I did.
Don't you remember, Mother Gibbs? The legacy you left us? Why, it was over $350.
Yes. Yes, Emily.
Well, there's a patent device on the drinking fountain so that it never overflows, Mother Gibbs, and it never sinks below a certain mark they have there. It's fine. It won't be the same George without me, but it's a lovely farm. A lot of people don't understand, do they?
No, dear. Not very much.
They're sort of shut up in little boxes, aren't they? Oh, it seems I knew them last 1,000 years ago. My boy's spending the day at Miss Carter's house. Oh, Mr. Carter, my boy's spending the day at your house.
Is he?
Yes, he loves it there. Mother Gibbs, we have a Ford, too. It never gives us any trouble. I don't drive, though. Mother Gibbs, when does this feeling go away of being one of them? How long does it?
Dear, just wait and be patient.
I know. Look, they're finished. They're going. Look, Father Gibbs is bringing some of my flowers to you. He looks just like George, doesn't he? I never realized before just how troubled and how in the dark live persons are. Look at him. I loved him so. From morning till night, that's all they are. Troubled.
A little cooler than it was.
Yes, that rain cooled it off a little.
Those northeast winds always do the same thing, don't they?
If it's not a rain, it's a 3-day flow.
Oh, Mother Gibbs, one can go back. One can go back into living again. I feel it. I know it. Why, just for a moment I was thinking about the farm, and for a moment I was there. And my baby was sitting right on my lap, just as plain as day.
Yes. Yes, of course you can.
I can go back and live all those days over again. Why not?
All I can say is, Emily, don't.
But I won't live over a sad day. I'll choose a happy one. I'll choose the day I first knew that I loved George. Why should that be painful?
You not only live it, but you watch yourself living it.
Yes?
And as you watch it, you see the things that they down there don't see. You can tell the future. You know what's going to happen.
Is that painful? Why?
It's not the only reason why you shouldn't do it, Emily. When you've been here longer, you'll see that our life here is to forget all that. Think only of what's ahead and plan for what's ahead. When you've been here longer, you'll understand.
Oh, Mother Gibbs, how could I ever forget that life? It's all I know. All I had.
Oh, Emily, it isn't wise. Really, it isn't.
But it's something I must learn for myself. Choose a happy day anyway.
No. At least choose an unimportant day. Choose the least important day of your life. It'll be important enough.
Well, it can't be since I was married. Since the baby was born. I can choose a birthday at least. I choose my 12th birthday.
All right. February 11th, 1899. A Tuesday. Oh, do you want any specific time of day?
I want the whole day.
All right. Well, we'll get it done. You remember it had been snowing. They had been plowing the streets in the morning. Look, the sun's coming up.
Why, there's Main Street. There's Miss Morgan's drugstore before she changed it. And there's the livery stable.
Yeah, this is 14 years ago. This is 1899.
The town I knew as a little girl. And look, there's the old white fence that used to be around our house. Oh, I'd forgotten that. Oh, I love it so. And inside?
Yes. Your mother will be coming downstairs in a few minutes to make breakfast.
Will she?
Yes. And you remember your father had been away for a few days. He took the early train home.
No.
Well, he'd been back to New York to make a speech at his old college.
Look, here comes Howie Newsom. There's our police officer, but she's dead. She died.
Whoa, Bessie! Bessie! Morning, Wilma.
Morning, Howie.
You're up early.
We rescued him at a party. Darn near froze to death down in Polish Town there. He got drunk and lay on the snowdrifts. He thought he was in bed when I shook him.
Like, there's Joe Crowell.
Morning, Miss Ward.
Howie.
Emily, Wally, time to get up.
Mama, I'm here. How young Mama looks. I didn't know Mama was ever that young. You could come undress for the kitchen fire if you'd like, but hurry. Good morning, Mr. Newsom. Ooh, it's cold.
10 below by my barn, Miss Webb.
Think of it. Keep yourself wrapped up. Mama, I can't find my blue hair ribbon anywhere.
Just open your eyes, dear, that's all. I let out for you on the dresser special. If it were a snake, it would bite you.
Yes.
Good morning, Wilma.
Morning, Mr. Webb. You're up early.
Yes, I've just been back to this old college in New York. Been any trouble here?
Well, I was called up this morning to rescue a Polish fella. Darn near froze to death he was.
Oh, well, we must get it in the paper.
It wasn't much.
Good morning, Mother.
How'd it go, Charles?
Oh, fine, I guess. I told him a few things. How's everything here?
Good. Can't think of anything special. Been right cold. Howard Newsom said it's 10 below over to his farm.
Oh, well, that's nothing to what it's like at Hamilton College. Students' ears are falling off. It ain't Christian, that's what I tell you. Will paper have any mistakes in it?
None that I noticed. Coffee's ready when you want it.
Thank you.
Oh, Charles, don't forget, it's Emily's birthday. Did you remember to get her something?
Oh, yes, I've got something right here. Where's my girl? Where's my birthday girl?
Charles, don't interrupt her now. She's slow enough as it is. Emily, Wally, hurry up! 7 o'clock. Now I don't want to call you again.
I can't bear it. They're so young and beautiful. Why did they ever have to get old? Mama, I'm here. I'm grown up. I can't look at everything hard enough.
Good morning, Mama. Well, now, dear. A very happy birthday to my girl and many happy returns. There's some surprises for you on the kitchen table.
Mama, you shouldn't have. Oh, I can't.
But birthday or no birthday, I want you to grow up to be big and strong. Eat that breakfast good and slow. Then the yellow paper is from your Aunt Carrie. I reckon you can guess who wrote the postcard album. Found it when I brought in the milk this morning. George Gibbs. Was it come over in the cold pretty early. Right nice of him.
Oh, George, I've forgotten that.
Now chew that bacon good and slow. It'll keep you warm on a cold day.
Oh, Mama, just for a minute I wish you'd look at me as though you really saw me. Mama, 14 years have gone by. I'm dead. Mama, your grandmother. I married George Gibbs. Wally's dead too, Mama. His appendix burst on a camping trip up to North Conway. And we felt just terrible about it. Don't you remember? But Mama, just for a moment, we're all together. Mama, just for a moment, we're happy. Let's look at one another.
That and the blue paper is something I found in the attic among your grandmother's things. I figured you're old enough to wear it.
This is from you. Oh, Mama, it's lovely. It's just what I wanted. Thank you.
Well, I hoped you'd like it. Printed all over. Your Aunt Nora couldn't find one in Concord, so I had to send all the way to Boston. Wally has something for you, too. He made an manual cleaning class and he's very proud of it. So, be sure to make a big fuss about it. Your father was surprised as well. Don't know what it is myself. Shh, here he comes.
Where's my girl? Where's my birthday girl?
I can't go on. It goes so fast. We don't have time to look at one another. I never realized. So all that was going on, we never even noticed it. Take me back, up to the hill, to my grave. But first, wait. Grover, look. Goodbye. Goodbye, world. Goodbye, Grover's Corners. Mama, Papa. Goodbye to ticking clocks, food, coffee, and new iron dresses, hot baths, sleeping, waking up. Oh, Earth, you're too wonderful for anybody to realize you. Do human beings ever realize life while they live it every minute?
No. The saints and poets, maybe. Maybe some.
I'm ready to go back.
Were you happy?
No. I should have listened to you. That's all they are, just blind people.
Look, it's clearing up. The stars are coming out.
Oh, Miss Thompson, I should have listened to them.
Yes. Now you know. Now you know. That's what it was to be alive. To move about in a cloud of ignorance. To go up and down, trampling on the feelings of those about you. To spend and waste time as if you had a million years. To always be at the mercy of one self-centered passion or another. Now you know. That's the happy existence you wanted to go back to. Ignorance and blindness.
Simona Simpson, that ain't the whole truth, and you know it. Emily, look at that star. I forget its name.
My boy Joel was a sailor. Knew them all. He'd sit on the porch on evenings and tell them all by name. Yes, sir. Wonderful.
A star's mighty good company. Yes, yes, 'tis.
Here comes another one.
That's funny. Tain't no time for one of them to be here.
Mother Gibbs, it's George.
Dear, just rest yourself.
It's George.
And my boy Joel, who knew the stars. He used to say it took millions of years for that one speck of light to get to the earth. Ain't nobody could believe it. But that's what he used to say. Millions of years.
Goodness, that ain't no way to behave. He ought to be home.
Mother Gibbs,
Yes, Emily.
they don't understand, do they?
No, dear. They don't understand. Lights out in Robert's Corners. Except in the depot, where Shorty Hawkins is getting ready to catch that 5:45 to Boston. And in the livery stable, where some people are set up late talking. And there are the stars doing their old crisscross journey across the sky. You know, scientists haven't settled the matter yet, but they seem to think that there are no living beings up there. Just chalk, fire. Only this one is straining away every day to make something of itself. It strains so bad that every 16 hours everybody has to lie down and get some rest. It's 11 o'clock in Grover's Corners. You get a good rest too. Good night.